At KidzMatter, our mission is to equip and empower the global KidMin community. That means you. We're so glad you're here. We've got all of our friends in here, super excited to have you joining us today. If you haven't met me, I'm Hannah with the KidzMatter team, and we are just ready for a fun conversation with Nancy and the team from God's Kids and RightNow Media. It's going to be a really fun conversation as we talk about how to equip parents in ministry, right? I think we talk a lot about our kids. We talk a lot about volunteers, and that's so important. But I know in KidMin Academy, we've really been trying to share about just how important it is to partner with our parents and to help them have what they need. There are so many studies out there, right, Nancy, about how important it is to equip the parent because they're the primary influence in the life of a child, right? We've probably all seen that marble illustration where it shows like how many weeks you have in a child's life. And when we look at like our influence with maybe 40 hours a year with kids. And then parents with, I mean, what isn't it? I think it's like 186 hours a week or something crazy. So all of that, your parents and your ministries are the ones you need to be targeting and working with. And Nancy's going to be sharing about that today. If you haven't heard of the new God's Kids curriculum, it's pretty brand new. Like this has been a project that y'all have been working on for a long time. And it is unveiled. It is out there. And we'll make sure we drop the links to all of that in the chat. Our team's going to be giving those to you. But Nancy, tell us a little bit about you. And then we'd love for you to get started. And I'll get out of the way so you can share all the good stuff.
Thank you, Hannah. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm very excited to be here. Hi, everyone. I think that I get excited about introducing myself mostly because I love to connect with people. And so I would love to just maybe even have you guys, as you connect with things that I'm sharing about me, drop it in the chat that we're like, oh, yeah, I do that too, or I've done that. Or, okay. So I want to share some highlights of the opportunities that God has given me. So I grew up performing musical theater on stage at 17. I choreographed my first musical, and then I went on to get a degree in theater. I know. I put kids on stage for many years. That's where I started in kids ministry, and then I was in churches and in public schools. Actually, we were in like 11 different public schools and we were all over the place. Then we would do like the summer drama camps in the local churches so that we could get the kids connected to the local churches. So it was this whole thing. This is what I knew God called me to. And then all of a sudden he's like, hold on, I want you to do weekend ministry. But when he called me into full-time church ministry, like I had served or worked in just about every area of kids ministry. So I definitely felt ready. And I did, however, try to draw a line in the sand for God that I didn't want to be one of the statistics of how long I was someplace. Well, drawing that line, wasn't the wisest thing because God had a different plan for me. And he has now had me on staff at 7 different churches. Crazy to think about, but it's given me the experience to work with churches that have 20 kids on Sunday, all the way up to 800, from Southern California, which is where I'm based, to Atlanta, Georgia, and back. And then just being able to work with all of the different, like 4 different denominations, but many, many denominational influences. And so I'm like, okay, God, I can see what you were doing. It gives me perspective, right? So plus, I work with I spent the last 11 years working with a search firm. And so I've been placing kids pastors and student pastors all over the country for 11 years. And so I love that. Small little plug, Slingshot Group, if you are looking for your next role.
Love it.
And then plus why I'm here today. Okay. So about 18 months ago, God opened up a door for me to partner with the team at RightNow Media. And it was to develop and create a brand new kids curriculum. So RightNow Media, I'm sure that many of you have heard about it, but if you haven't, they've been doing adult content for years and they do it so well, like crazy well. And I have completely fallen in love with all of the people there, all of the passion, their heart, their desires. And they just really wanted to provide for their churches and for other churches a new style of curriculum. And so God's Kids is being launched and it's coming out next month. Like seriously, in 2 weeks, the first one gets released. 1 week, 2 Sundays. You know, we talk in Sundays.
We do. We live by Sundays. It's the calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's see here. And so I'm like very excited about this curriculum, but I'll tell you more about it in a little bit. Like, so that's just a teaser right there. But thank you, KidzMatter, and I've been a fan for a very long time. And thank you, Hannah, for having me, and RightNow Media and RightNow Kids, because they started a whole other branch, RightNow Kids. It's pretty exciting. Okay, so it's fair to say that I'm pretty passionate about connecting people and studying family ministry and knowing churches and encouraging kidmin leaders. Like that is my heart and my passion. So, oh wait, I have 5 daughters.
You have a kids ministry, like a girls ministry.
In my house. Yes, they are, but they're between 24 and 20. And just a note on this, because it's a current God story for me. I had 3 biological daughters, and then when my youngest was 13, we grew our family through the foster care system, and Michaela joined our house, and she's still been with us for 8 years. But last summer, her half sister came into our lives and moved in November. And so that's why I have 5 daughters now, because we have grown and God has, he's done amazing things, and I'm very, very blessed. So that's just a little bit about that. Now I want to talk about the people who are out there, you guys. So I'm going to guess that most of you are kids ministry leaders or invest in family ministry in your church. In fact, I would love for you to write your role in the chat, just who you are in your church and what you do. But you are my people. Even if I can't see all of you or hear all of you, you are my people. I love this. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic, which is parents. For many of us in kids ministry, this can be the hardest hurdle. So we can do kids experiences. We can show kids who Jesus is. We can show kids how to love and follow him. We can speak kids, but kids come with these grown-ups that are sometimes just big kids, but they're called adults and they're connected to them. And so we stretch ourselves and we provide for parents too. And whether we are parents or not, we're still doing this, right? Those of you out there who aren't even parents yet, we are still called to invest in the kids. So let me touch on things that we know about parents, right? So we have parents from all types of backgrounds in our churches, in our ministries. We have embraced the mantra of parents should be the spiritual leaders in their homes. And yes, this mantra was designed based on all the right reasons, but it looks different to every single parent, depending on their background and their current situation. Okay, think for a minute about these next categories of parents. And if God brings someone to your heart while I'm mentioning them, I want you to write that down. I want you to keep notes really quick on some of these families that might come to your heart. Okay, so parents growing up in the church. They've been here the whole time. They brought their kids the whole time. And they have grown up understanding and knowing church. Parents who, this is the next one, sorry. I talk really fast. Hannah, you got to pause me if I'm like rambling too fast. Okay. Parents who grew up in the church but took a pause. And then once they had kids, they're returning, right? That's a whole different group. Parents brand new to faith. Parents who know more about the Bible than you do. And yet they don't know how to speak kid. Parents who want to drop their kids off and let church be their God teacher. That's it. Just the 1 hour at church. Parents who stop and talk and encourage you every week. And also parents who want to teach in your classes. What? I know. Some of them we don't want, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be encouraging here. So we've got so many different types of parents around us. And if you pictured specific people, I want you to just put one name in the chat. Just one of the names that came to mind, because God's doing something with them and you today. And so, okay, now think about those parents and all of the ways they are trying to learn and to just kind of keep their kids alive and smart and healthy and safe and in sports and in school events and all of the homework done and the requirements and the friends and the fears. And then the church adds, you should be the spiritual leaders of your kids. So now parents have this high calling on the spiritual health of their kids, no matter what their experience or their background is. Okay. So this is my preface. Now we've talked about me, we've talked about you, and we've talked about the parents in our ministries. So now our brains are at the place where you can hear me say that the title of our talk is 3 Easy Ways to Equip Parents Through Your Kids' Ministry. Now, okay. I know I have to give a couple more disclaimers just because. So the word, like, when you want to really communicate something and your heart really wants to communicate it, and then you're worried that it's not going to come across, right? Okay, so this is why these are my disclaimers. Track with me here. I want to comment on the word easy. So for a good portion of my life, the word easy had such negative connotations. Like if one person would go, oh, that's easy, then the listener, which might have been me most of the time, was like, no, it's not. It's not easy for me. It might be easy for your brain, but it's not easy for me. So I always would get nervous or uncomfortable when the word easy was used. But this is after more time in ministry and relating to ministry, I see it this way. God gives us opportunities to grab onto tools that are easily accessible and easily executed because of Him, because of God. So when someone said that it was easy, it's not to put a higher expectation on you or ourselves, but share these ideas and then the expectation of what God wants you to put in front of you. So don't take all of these things that I'm saying and say, oh, I have to do them. I have to, or, just listen to God and say, okay, what is it that He would make accessible to you so that He can do His work and make it easy for us? So, okay, that was my, oh yeah, so some of these things are going to be brand new. I totally have my notes here. I know you guys can see me doing that. I'm just going to, pretend that you don't. It's better because otherwise I'll talk and talk and talk. So you really want me to have my notes. Some of these ideas will be reminders and some will be brand new thoughts. But either way, just let God direct our hearts right now. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to pray real quick. God, let us hear you today. Let us hear what you are saying to us and our ministries. Thank you. Amen. Okay. That was spontaneous. So 3 easy ways. Number 1, more listening. Number 2, more asking. And number 3, more optioning. Just kidding. More options. Not optioning. It just, I went with it. Listening, asking, option. Okay. So we're going to talk. Oh. And by the way, I feel the same way about the word more as I do about the word easy. So we do our best and God does the more. Okay. So that's enough disclaimers. Here we go. Point number 1, more listening. The subtitle would be listen to the heart behind the words. So how many of you guys have heard, I know I don't get to see you raise your hands, but you've heard of the music behind the lyrics comment. A lot of times we're all told, listen for the music behind the lyrics. And that's where I got this thought, this idea. It's paying attention to the deeper feelings or needs behind what someone is actually saying. So for just a simple explanation, the lyrics, or words in our case, are the words that someone actually says, but the music or the heart is the emotions, the fears, the hopes, or the needs behind those words. A really good example for kids ministry is a parent might say, "My child says kids church is boring." Okay, those are the words, but the heart behind it, it might be, "I want my child to love church. I'm worried that my child is disconnecting from the faith, and I don't know how to help them." So instead of reacting to the words, we listen for the heart behind it. I'm going to have you do something right now that's like, but in the chat, I want you to write your most painful statement that a parent has said to you. I know that we all have them, and we've all reacted to them, and we've all helped them, and we've all told our spouses when we get home, or called our other KidMin friends and said, "This is what the parent said to me today." So why more listening especially in ministry, matters. When you listen to the heart, you respond with understanding instead of defensiveness. It helps us to move from problem solving into shepherding. So, in my experience, KidMin leaders, in their exhaustion, lean deeper into justifying than confidence in their calling when someone approaches them and says something. And of course, I'm not talking about me ever. But so let this be a reminder to you as well. So basically, if parents build up the nerve to ask you questions or to comment with concerns about helping their kids grow in their faith, then their questions rarely reveal what support they are actually searching for. We are in a world where parents are actually supposed to know what they want and how to get there. But on a spiritual journey, we can be there to help fill in the blanks. It reminds me of when my oldest daughter, she goes into her freshman year and she decides she's going to try out for volleyball and basketball. And she makes both teams. And it's like surprising, like, oh my goodness, that's great. Kate, I want to remind you, I said I have a theater degree. All my kids have been on stage, a little bit of sports here and there, but it's not. It's like I was moving into a like kind of a knowledge void. And I wasn't sure exactly what to do. In fact, I was actually like calling halftime, intermission, and I was calling like the crowd, the audience. Yes, that was me. And it makes me think about the fact that maybe some of our parents, that's how they feel. They're like really good in some other area, but maybe in their spiritual walk, this is like a knowledge void. And yet some of them are going to put on a face to say, "Oh yeah, I'm sure I know it. I went to church when I was a kid," or, so that's why it's valuable to just pause and be like, wait, more listening, because we can actually get defensive around what we've put our heart and soul into, when really they're probably not even judging at all. Okay. Point number 2, more asking. So these are going to connect together in the end. I'm sure you probably figured that, but here's my subtitle. Questions can be more powerful than answers. Asking questions can be more powerful than leaders always having the answers. Even parents who have a solid background in faith likely do not have the skills to teach that knowledge to a kid, even their own child. And so the church has traditionally been a place to bring your kids to learn about God, removing pressure from the parents. Well, when that shifted, our job shifted from being only focused on the kids when they're in our ministry to also focus on the kids when they're outside of our ministry in the sense of that spiritual journey. And so it's like for us, we have to shift as well. So how can we do that? We have all tried things over the years, and some have been incredibly successful, but we also have to remember the times change, and the information that parents have changes, and the access to things changes, right? And so the things that could have been successful in the past might not be next month, and it's not a failure on you. It is literally because things change all the time. So be willing to make those changes. But also the church down the street on Instagram that you see and you're like, oh, look, that worked for them. And then you try it and you're like, how was that such a bomb for us? Yes, that's real too. So trial and error for your parents, for the specific people that God has called to your ministry is what we're talking about. Let's see here, having a way to look at it. When a parent comes with a question or a suggestion or a concern, what do we typically do? We typically stand face to face with them, good eye contact, and with confidence, we give them the answer. And we answer the question or have a solution for the comment. See, I know what I'm going to say, but I still am like, what did I write down? But do they really want the answers and the solutions that we offer? If we use the skill of more listening and add the next step of more asking, then what changes in our relationships with parents? We move next to them. We move our position, our posture from face to face with them to next to them. We take on the same perspective as them. We look at their kids like they are looking at them. We look at the ministry like they are looking at it and we go, oh, hold on a second. Let me ask some more questions about what you are saying to me. So then you can walk beside parents, and it can be more powerful than just always having the answers. And let's be honest, we don't always have the answers. So this is going to take a little pressure off of us too. Okay. Oh, and I would bet that parents today would respond better to a partner in ministry than an answer keeper in ministry. So let's be a partner in ministry. Okay, so some examples of this so that you can track with what I'm saying. When parents ask questions like, I'm just going to rattle these off. So this isn't notes, this is just thoughts. How do I make the Bible exciting to my child? What can I use to help the Bible come to life for my kids? My 5th grader doesn't want to go to kids ministry anymore. That's probably one of my top ones for parents saying that can really get to me. So I learned over the years I have to listen very, very well to that one. And does it ever really have an answer? Or is it really ever a question? Okay. How to teach my kids about boundaries and self-control. Are there any church or Christian games that we could play as a family? Which Bible should I get for my child? What is a good family devotional? So here's the examples of questions to ask or ways to approach parents when they come up to us. Okay. So you respond with, after you respond with this, I'm going to give you some response starters and then some questions to kind of follow up with. So you respond with, that is a great question. Or that sounds important to your heart. Or I love this question. Or if you don't mind, I would like to ask a few more questions before I respond. And then you say things like this. Tell me about your family dynamics. Or if you already know them, like, what is your background on this topic? How do you want the next steps to best benefit your family? What does your gut say? And what have you tried? And then you listen. You actively listen. Because many times parents can actually come up with their own answers. And let's be honest, they are more likely to act on something that they have thought up than what you suggest. And then you get moved into a position of engagement. Like you can just be yes, you should absolutely try that. You know what else this does? We remove ourselves from being the one with all the answers. We take the pressure off ourselves and we actually put it on God. Because if we're walking beside parents and we're actively listening, then that means we have paused and we are actively listening to God at the same time and what God wants us to hear when those parents are talking. Okay, I know I've gone really fast. Those are my first two. And I'm going to get to the third one. I'm going to talk a little bit about some stuff. And then I know we're going to open up for Q&A at the end. So track with me. I hope everyone is keeping up. Again, I know I talk fast. Here, I'll just give you a moment. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, point 3, more options. Wait, I don't mean that we should overwhelm parents with more options. Don't hear me say that. Not more events, not more things to attend. I am meaning that you know more options. So you do the listening. Oh, I got it out of order. Let me try that again. You do the listening, you do the asking, and you have the options. You collect and you share them at the ideal times. So let me give you 2 examples of how I would explain this. So the first one is this. Actually, I'm going to tell a quick story about a church that I've worked with in the past. That when I started working with them, they had this beautiful path of milestones. They had all of the graphics done, all the artwork done, and it was awesome. But there were 12 each year, and so the parents were invited, communicated to that this is what their kids should do each grade. And the parents really only had to attend 3, but the staff still had to do all 12, right? But they were they were giving them exactly what they needed to do, these 3 milestones for this grade, right? What it was doing and what I discovered is that the parents were actually treating it like if they did those things, then their kids would love Jesus. And if they didn't, they couldn't be there for it, or they weren't available that event or whatever, then all of a sudden their kids for sure aren't going to know Jesus. It's this thing in their heads, right? And so I encourage the staff to kind of rethink it and look over it. And also because it was wiping the staff out. There is a reality around less is more. And us as ministry leaders, we want to do the more. We do, because we think we have to do something for every single person and every single parent. Okay, so back up. I'm not talking about that kind of more. Here's one of those ideas on how to do this. So I have this amazing, amazing friend, Lauren Jackson. She's with Kids Ministry Circle. She taught this to me once. And she talks all about this, so you can go look it up and get better details about it. But it's the idea of encouraging parents by seasons. So I'm so glad that Hannah mentioned the jar, because I was totally going to bring it up. But if you don't know about the jar, it's like looking at kids for all 18 years. Okay. Yes, and what about just looking at accomplishing the spiritual journey for the next 3 months? Just during the fall. Give it to them bite size. Give it to them so that they can celebrate fall. They can do a few steps that ideas that you encourage them of. And then it's the pressure of 15 years from now, 10 years from now, 8 years from now can be bite size. It can be manageable. It can be something tangible that they could do right now. So, let me give you an example for fall. If you were to say, how can you spiritually invest in your kids in the fall? And you just give them 3 little things. School kicks off. So here's a backpack, keychain. I know they're not called keychains, but the backpack thing. To hang on the outside of the backpack. And either it's a prayer or it's something that you remind them of about God, or something you guys talk in your family about, right? And then the second one can even be sayings as they get out of the car. You're saying, you know what? You guys are starting a new school year. let's start some new habits. And here are some suggestions. The first one is they get out of the car and you say, be a blessing to someone. Or they get back in the car and you say, what did you notice about God today? You start getting in those habits and creating new habits each year, it's going to impact their kids, even as simple as that. And then like maybe a Thanksgiving family activity because you know Thanksgiving is going to be in the fall. We're going to be doing like a prayer kickoff night for school, back to school night. And Kidman Corinne just posted like a little family like prayer blessing pack. And seriously, you can get it from her and then you just print it out, fold it and put it in a bag and done. But it's powerful for parents. It's a little thing that sits in the middle of the table. Okay, you can look that up. And I will be doing that one. There you go. And then each year you're looking at a couple of new things instead of trying to pour all of it into the parents' lives every year. Does that make sense? Okay, and then you shift into the other seasons. I'm sure you're tracking with me. Winter, some ideas are Christmas traditions or something over break that you can give them. And then of course we've got Easter and spring, sports galore. Like how can you just give them one thing they can do at a sports game or right before a game or after a game, and all their busyness in the spring. And then summer ideas. It can really be beneficial for you too, to pace yourself and to help your parents. And you could be starting a new rhythm in their lives of actually pacing this spiritual journey instead of just tasking it, but making it a part of their whole world. Okay. Okay, the other thing I was going to say is this is just, some of you will love the suggestion. Some of you will it'll stress you out. How many of you have said that like your families, they don't read the newsletter emails that you write every month and you work so hard on the list of resources that you send out doesn't seem to get used, or the general information that you are excited about? You know what I mean? Like you get excited about something that you learn about parents or families or kids and you want to tell them all of it. And then, so the parents or the staff, like it seems to mean nothing. So all of that is very real. And yes, we still do it for the one, right? The newsletter, there's one person that reads it all. I get that. But to most of them, it's too much information. And it's more than they can handle. And they get so much information every single day. So my suggestion would be, what if beyond the church actions, like you just be ready to guide them? So you're getting ready to provide individual resources. So this will only happen, of course, if we are approachable. And the approachable that I mean is that we're not so busy that everyone goes, oh, but you're so busy. I didn't want to stop and ask. Okay. All of us as Kidman leaders need to work on that. I know that. To be able to be approachable, to be able to be where people can come up and ask questions and talk to us. This is how that will work. And it does start like an approachable relationship can start with listening, more asking, and more options. Because as you are starting to do this, you will, okay, so I literally wrote on here, I need to use more words to explain this. It's so funny because that's so me. You have a resource list handy. Okay, so you just have something like on your phone, on a board somewhere, and you're just constantly writing on it. And I mean constantly writing, like you are writing things down that you learn. You are writing things down that you see. I mean, parents aren't out there watching all of these different Kidman apps that we are, and posts. And so, but there are things that come up for you where you're like, oh, that would be really good for our families. That's what you got to remember. God's called you to your families, your church. So what is it that he wants us to remember for them? So then you kind of write this down in a list. So you fill it in with tidbits from the articles that you read that are specific to your families. all the advice the curriculum offers. They have that whole section most of the time. And the sources online that you have found. When a parent shares something exciting and then you want to add it to your list. So, also things that you have learned about each challenge and each article and each concern. So and then sorry, I didn't say that one. So if parents come and they share something with you that they found, then you put it on your list. Okay, so track with me. The things that make you excited about family ministry, write those down. Those are the things that the Holy Spirit brings to your attention. But we don't turn around and give it all to our parents and, send them articles and news. Stand by. You are prepared to hand parents a tool one at a time. So in God's perfect timing, did you hear me say that? In God's perfect timing. So this whole idea may sound like I am giving you something huge to do, like you're going to have to keep a cataloged list of all of the things that you've learned. No, I am suggesting that you have a list and let God do the rest. So what would happen if you read an article and all of a sudden you thought of one person in your ministry that it might impact? You could just text it to them if you have an approachable relationship with them. And then you have a family this Sunday that comes up to you and says, oh, hey, this and this and this. And you're like, I just looked at that. I just saw a reel about that. That is when the Holy Spirit is connecting the things that you have already collected. So not saying big list. I'm saying concepts, ideas, and resources that you can give individually. And essentially, I'm trying to make it easier for you, because if you try to retain everything that you read and all of the things that are, coming to you in information in kids ministry, you are not going to do that, or some of you probably can. But reality is, we need to listen to the Holy Spirit and know what to give to our parents, one bite size at a time. Dream with me for a minute. Okay, hold on. Watch. One other thing that might make our worlds even easier. What if you no longer had to send the weekly or monthly emails about what the kids are learning? Or it's not no longer, just dream with me. Hold on. What if we could do something better than just take home sheets that seem to be a waste of paper most weeks? What if we could do take the pressure off of ourselves, creating parent interaction assignments during the week? What if parents got a notification, told them what their kids were learning, and then maybe a couple more during the week to remind them? What if parents get, access to the videos that we're showing them on Sundays? Would all of that make it easier? Okay, so yeah, that's a teaser for God's Kids curriculum. I know. But RightNow Media has mastered the whole platform of each church has an individual personalized kind of thing. Well, it is the desire of the parent app to have us put our first date in, and then the parent app joins us on our journey, and then parents receive a notice of the lesson and how they can engage. And then throughout the week, they get additional notifications on moments, and they can have their kids still related to the lesson. Or they can watch it all for the first time because they didn't make it to church. So exciting, huge release off of. Anyway, okay, that's just a teaser. And I know I just went squirrel and sidetracked into the curriculum and into God's Kids. And I am really excited about it. And that's why. And if I made more questions than we can give answers to right here, then obviously go to the links that Hannah was sharing, take a look at it, and see if you want to just jump on a 30-minute call with them and they'll do a demo for you. I know not everyone is looking for curriculum, and that's not what I'm trying to say here, but this curriculum is going to be designed for certain churches and we want those churches to find it. So, okay, let me wrap up my talk and then we'll go into Q&A. In summary, how can we easily partner with parents? We can start with more listening, more asking, and more options in our pockets. And changing our posture to walk beside them. My encouragement to all of you, you do not have to do everything. Less is more. You do not have to do all the things you hear about every time you join a webinar. You only need to do what God calls you to do right now, and then let Him do the rest. When you do easy, it doesn't mean you are not doing enough. Let me say that again. When you do easy, it does not mean you are not doing enough. It means you are doing exactly enough. Yay, I love you guys. I love Kidmin leaders and church leaders. Okay, Hannah, do we have any questions? Oh, give us questions in the chat. Oh, sorry. Maybe I was supposed to say that in the middle of my
No,
talks.
you're great. You've been giving them room, and I just wanted to jump in and remind everybody, y'all can add some questions in the chat. Let us know if there's a section you want to dive deeper into. I love those three, right? Listening, asking, and optioning. I liked optioning. That's what
You liked optioning. Good. Okay,
what
thank
we
you.
do in
I can hear my mom's
ministry.
voice going, that's not proper English.
I know, but
What can I say?
it's
We make up
great.
new words in kids ministry all the time, right?
Literally do. And it's fun to make them rhyme. I'm big on alliteration, big on if you guys have ever been in a sermon where the pastor does like 2 C's and then like a D for the third point.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, surely thesaurus.com could have given you another C. Like, we could have made it.
You're like, that just did not sit with me right.
Exactly. Like, I know there was another letter. But guys, if you have a question for Nancy and about the curriculum, like she said, it would be great for you to connect with their team. I threw a link in the chat for a recent interview that we did with RightNow Media President Brian Mosley, and he had some great context just around this curriculum. It's launching so soon. It's all very exciting. And I love this. Linnell said, I Dr. Seuss myself all the time. Let's take the wrong word. That's amazing.
Making up words and alliteration. Yes.
Exactly. Listen, we're in kids ministry. We're allowed to do that. Ashley asked, could you go over some of those question starters for point number 2? Like, give us another few examples of questions we could ask that are going to help us connect with parents and equip them well.
Yeah. Considering I threw all my notes on the floor as we went. Hold on.
Amazing. Listen, another Kidman thing, right? We're working with it. I loved, though, this reminder of questions, right? Because when we can start with a question, honestly, that's a life skill. That is a life skill in your marriage, in your family, with adults, with kids. Seeking to understand, I think, is such an important way to go about any conversation. It helps in conflict. It helps in coaching. It literally helps in all the areas. So when you can start with a good question, and I think as you begin to craft these questions and like keep that list of questions, we did a KidzMatter Pro coaching call yesterday, and one of the things that they shared was like, don't just ask your volunteers like, oh, how to go today? And same with parents, like, oh, how to go, or even a kid, what'd you learn? Like, get creative and ask good questions, because then you're going to get some good responses. But okay, go for it, Nancy. Give us some more of those questions.
Well, and my theater background, we script everything. So, like, yes, I have questions, I memorize them, but I also have to remind myself to pause, because I'm a very high energy, very, boom, boom, boom person. And I spend a lot of time in my head going, I'm going to protect their time. And I'm going to give them something right now. I'm just going to. So I've had to train myself to just pause. And then I know what she was talking about now. So that is a great, when I was mentioning that is a great question, or that sounds important to your heart. If the questions aren't things to memorize, I also put in my head, what are they trying to say? And then I say, I want to turn it around to them first. So that would be the key in these first, like the transitioning questions. Turn it around before I get defensive, before I'm like, yeah, well, most fifth graders say that. But if you say, right? So it's like, okay, stop. It's not about me. So how do I turn it around to them first and compliment them, encourage them, show them that this matters by saying, I love this question. Or, wait, did you hear about this? Is that why you're asking? Or, hey, what made you think of that this week? Or, why is that on your heart today? So turn it around to them then it puts them also back in their heads so that they might be able to help explain to you better. But then to say, well, let me help specify, that so that you don't have to just say random things to me, but bringing it back to where, specifically, okay. So when did you think of that this week? Did something happen that made you think of it? Did your kids say something this week? Kind of making it back in their head so that you can listen to what their answer is, either ask another question or go back into a response. And then I know I'm saying like walking next to them, and sometimes they do it, but if you have those ideas and you have those responses, or I mean, not responses, the resources, then all of a sudden it's a conversation that you're having with them instead of well, let me tell you what to do, or let me tell you what I read in this book, or let me tell you what I heard or saw. Instead, it's, oh my goodness, I just saw something this week. I wonder if it would help you. Then you can either, like, I know some people can have these memories where they can remember it, picking it up and going, hey, oh, like, oh, not consumed. That's a great one to tell parents about, because a lot of parents, especially like homeschoolers and people who actually want to figure out how to do it at home with their kids, or they want to fill it in. Um, Not consumed has so many cool, like, little things that you can use, tools. And I love to tell parents about them, but so that's what the resource list is. It's to keep you up to date in your heart and your mind, so you're ready for God to remind you of it when the parents are talking to you.
That is so good. And I think all the things you're saying, right? And remembering, like, hey, have you tried this? Like,
Yeah.
room to just, again, seek to understand. And I think we talk about with kids, right? If a kid asks us a question we don't know the answer to, we
Mhm.
say, hey, can I come back to you? Like, let me go. And
Oh, absolutely.
you can say that
Always.
to a parent, like, and we get on Sundays, we need to be available. But we also know that Sundays are sometimes not the best time for an in-depth conversation. So even when we try to be available, there are emergencies. So saying to a parent, hey, I would love to dive deeper into this. Would you have time for a phone call or a Zoom call or a coffee this week? I would love to treat you, and maybe I'll look into some of this and see what resources I have available, and maybe we can work together to talk about this. And
Absolutely.
that is okay, because you don't want to rush a conversation. You don't want to ignore it, right? We want to make space for it, but sometimes that's going to have to happen later in the week, and there may not be room on a Sunday in between services when volunteers and kids and everybody are trying to get your attention. So that's okay too. Stay
Yeah.
available, stay aware, and then be prepared to say, hey, I would love to circle back on this.
Yes, that's definitely a reality.
Oh my word, yeah, because we want to be available for all the things, and don't
Yeah.
forget even just the power of prayer in that moment. Like, hey, let's talk later this week.
Yes. Oh, I'm
Can I
glad you
pray
said
over
that.
you? Like, can I pray over you right now? That
Can we
means
pray
so
for
much to
this?
people.
Can we pray for
Yes,
this?
yes,
So
because we'll
both of
just
us
pray
can know
later.
what so both of us can know what God has the answer for. Absolutely.
And set a reminder. I talk about this a lot. Pull up your phone and, hey, whatever AI service you have, set a reminder for, Wednesday at 7 a.m. because you know that the parent was concerned about whatever the third grade LEAP testing, right? And so you can set that reminder and send them a prayer that morning. Hey, just wanted to let you know, praying for Johnny's test. Here was that resource we talked about. Like, use technology and things to your
Yes.
and most people, like, even if you do it in front of them, like if you say, hey, I'm gonna make a note real quick.
That's exactly what I do.
Even
Always.
fair, like
It's
that's
not
gonna
like
do a lot.
I'm just making a note about this on my phone. Yeah. Then they don't think you're picking it up and checking a text that you just got that interrupts them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely. Say that
they
to
know you can't remember. You're like, hey, and even just saying, hey, my brain on Sundays, like, I don't want to forget this. So I'm gonna write it down real quick,
them.
put it in
Absolutely.
my calendar, whatever it is, just to make sure I don't forget, or I would try to keep like a running list of a note on Sunday and just go throw things in there, like pertinent things I needed to follow up on, anything concerning that had happened with a kid, whatever, or a positive thing, just throw it in the note. And then at the end of the day, you go back through that note and say, okay, let's make sure we didn't drop it.
It reminds me, Hannah, of what I actually do at VBS, because our VBSs are extremely large. I actually have a volunteer who is, it's a dear friend of mine, so she knows me, but I literally will look at people who ask me questions and say, tell it to her. And I tell like everybody at the beginning, all the volunteers, everybody, my brain is going 100 miles an hour. If you really want something to get done, then tell it to her and she'll put it on my list. And so I've never really thought about doing that on Sundays. Not that I would have an extra volunteer somewhere to do that, but
maybe this is a great opportunity. Like if you have some just rock star parents in your ministry, and I don't even mean people who are volunteering, just rock star parents, and say to them, hey, would you be my parent on call and just come hang out in the welcome area and say, pray with parents that need prayer. Maybe if you have, I know some churches have a little parent resource corner with like books they can buy or borrow or pamphlets or QR codes or whatever it is. Say, hey,
yeah.
can you stand over here? And then when a parent comes up to you, you say, oh my goodness, I would love to talk more about this week, but I also have Stacy, and she is an incredible, parent. She's got 4 kids, 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever it is. And she would love to chat with you about that. Let me introduce you to her. And now you walk over to her. She's able to take some notes on whatever that conversation is. And then you can follow up. But especially, like, I know a lot of us, and those of you on the call, you may be young in ministry, you may not have kids. And so we don't want to pretend to be experts, right, of something that we are not experts of. And that's so find someone who is an expert. Um, Another great question from Ashley. You talked about the newsletter and doing it for the one. It's bare bones, the newsletter they're currently doing, which is great. You don't need to be a million things. But if you could put one important piece of info into a monthly newsletter, what would it be? And in Ashley's situation, this is next gen. So this is birth up through 18 years old. What would you put in that newsletter?
Ooh, that's a really good question, Ashley. I think that I think that I personally would steer away from information and I would put in encouragement.
That's good.
So I would either, I've seen a couple of you parents do this, or, hey, let me encourage you parents. Just reading this newsletter is enough. Just little things like that. Information is important, of course, but to make sure they have one place where all the stuff is for your church. But I just think that encouraging parents is always needed, for sure.
So good. I mean, even maybe there's something on your website, where there's like a landing page for family ministries. So in your
Yeah.
newsletter, you give encouragement and then you have that link. Hey, these bullet point, we've got back to school Sunday. Da, 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 da. For more info, click the link. So when they open that email, it's a paragraph of encouragement, maybe a scripture, 3 bullet points in a link. And now that also gives you a reference point. We talked about this again in our pro call yesterday, but like you can then in person, when you're talking to, Stacy, the mom, hey girl, like we're so excited, back to school Sundays next week. We're going to have a lunch after church. Are y'all going to come? And they're like, oh, I didn't even know about that. Oh, no worries. We're so excited. The details are in the newsletter. Feel free to look at that, but I can also text it to you. And then again, it's not about making someone feel bad they didn't read the newsletter.
Right, exactly. If
you have a place for them to go back.
Sometimes referencing the newsletter can make them feel bad, but overall, it's an education point too, where it's helping them to go, oh, you did put that in the newsletter? Great. Also. So it's how you present it.
It is
but
walking that line.
I do think though that kids ministry leaders, it's hard to pause. It's hard to stop and to go, what exactly are they asking me? Because a great percentage of the time, parents really do just need encouragement. And so we have a ton of information and a lot of events and a lot of things planned and a lot of safety protocols and a lot of things that are in place. But really just listening. It also reminds me of that question when you're talking to kids and they ask you like the birds and the bees, and then you're like, wait, ask another question before you answer, like the actual scientific answer, because it's like they may not be talking about anything you think they're talking about, right?
Oh, true.
That's also what I'm saying with parents too. So, and yeah, no, I just was looking at that note.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I think questions. And again, all of that is going to serve you so well. Using I statements, right? Like when we're talking about maybe an issue in the classroom, not blame. And again, is the child to blame? Very likely. But we're not like he did or she did or
Yes.
I noticed that sometimes during the lesson, Jimmy has trouble listening or wants to use his hands to bother the person next to him, whatever it is. And again, that's bringing it on you, what you're perceiving, and it's
Yeah.
inviting them to tell you more from their perspective. So I
Yeah.
see Nancy's
I see it
question.
instead of fear them, but also asking, so how does he do when he's listening, when he's watching a TV show at home? Or how does he do? Does he have a lot of siblings? Does he have, because an only child is going to react differently to people sitting next to them. And a kid who's the youngest sibling or the middle child is going to just smack on everybody because they're like, that's what we do at home. And why wouldn't I do that here? But you don't know that until you are absolutely like in the questions and in the answers and really, really listening more. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
make notes in your church database. Like if you've got a place where you can make some of those notes of like, oh, Jimmy's mom just had baby number 4. And so Jimmy's probably struggling a
Mhm.
little bit because he's not the baby of the family anymore. Or, those
Right.
like the dynamics of making
You
the
get
note
to hear a
that
story.
Tiffany's mom, right? Maybe is going through a divorce. And so Tiffany might be
Mhm.
struggling because, so just keep track of that where you can. Again, we're not going to remember everything, but when there's those big things, put that on your phone, add it to, if it's spreadsheet, if it's planning center, if it's, your church software, get that in there so that you're going to be able to hold that in your mind. And then again, don't be afraid to ask like, hey, has anything shifted at home or in school? Like, how are things going for, Tony? And is there
Yeah.
anything we can do to help support your family? But
Yes.
Nancy, this has been so good. Thank you for sharing. And
Yay.
again, easy guys listening, asking, optioning. Work through those and keep that on your radar. Make sure you're checking out RightNow Media's God's Kids. Again, that link is in the chat. So don't forget to look at that. But it's
Yes.
rightnowkids.org. So super easy to find it. We will see everybody for our next event.